Welcome to Swayam MOOC courses on research ethics. In this section of literature review and use of e-resources, we'll discuss about the evaluating search result for literature review, whatever the literature we have retrieved from previous section. In last two sessions, we'll discuss how to evaluate those search results and how to identify what are the resources that one has to consider for literature review. One of the important aspects of reviewing of literature is to identify the literature review from the large number of references or different sources that we have found during literature search in full text databases or any source. So once you go through the sources of information by the title, so there are several studies that suggest that identifying the relevant literature for your study based on the title of that specific source is not the best method. Also, many studies suggest that sometimes the title, based on the title, if we consider the paper as a useful source for your review of literature, but after going through the detailed text, it is found that it's irrelevant for that specific research topic. Similarly, the article that are sometimes excluded during our filtering out based on different criteria are also found to be relevant when we go through the full text of that specific paper. So it's always better to read the abstract of every article that you are going to review, so that you can at least identify some kind of relevance of that specific research paper. So basically the abstract provides a summary of the content present in an article, and most bibliographic databases or abstracting and indexing databases or the citation databases always contain those abstract, and that is available freely on different publishers website in full text. And some databases like SciFinder in the field of chemistry, they also provide much detailed information about the research paper with the different chemicals that are mentioned in that research topic. So while going through that different databases and searching the results, so you should always first evaluate those paper based on the abstract, so that you can filter out some specific references from thousands of results that you have retrieved from electronic sources. However, while determining the relevancy of article based on the abstract, it's always not recommended, because sometimes you may not, if you have excluded something based on the abstract, you may find something available in that article in later after going through the full text. But it is always recommended that for preliminary assessment one can refer the abstract of the article to consider the article further study. And also while evaluating those abstract, you can also apply those same filter criteria that we have discussed in previous section to exclude or include different articles from your considering into your review of literature. Other than the abstract, one can also go to the reference list available in different full text articles that one has found out relevant to one's research, so that you can find out the other articles that are relevant for your research, because if the same article is there referring to other articles, so those may be relevant to your article. Also, it's sometimes better to go for the review articles, because review articles are a kind of they are basically a review of other literature that are already published in that specific subject area. So it is always, you can also look for the review articles and check from those review articles, check the articles that are relevant to your research question. Once you have number of articles or different sources of information that you have found out from different electronic resources, primary, secondary, or whether it is from full text or any other sources, one should evaluate those sources of information for their validity or authenticity kind of thing. There is in the e-text portion we have given 6 different criteria which can be taken into consideration for evaluating the sources of references that you are considering for your literature review. First one is the authority. Authority in the sense who is the author, or what is the name of the author, and what is the point of view of that author. So you should check who is the author, whether he is expert in that specific area or not, and from where the author belongs, whether he is from a reputed institute or he is not from a subject area or from outside subject area. So those kind of things you can consider for checking the validity of the authority of a document you are citing. Next is the purpose. What is the purpose for which the source has been created? What is the intended audience for that specific document, whether it is for research scholar or it's for a general public, because when there is a specific kind of research is going on, you should check whether what is the audience, whether it is the general public, so there may be some biases about the views of the author. So you should always check whether there is some economic value associated with that document created, so that it can have a economic value for another author or publisher. So those purpose should be checked before considering for review of literature. Next is the publication or the format in which it is published. What is the medium of publication? Whether it is published in an academic journal or it's in a popular magazine, or what is the type or format of that document? Whether it is a peer-reviewed journal or it's just a magazine which can publish anything. So, or whether it is published from a reputed publisher or through a local publisher. Those kind of medium or source of publication also help to find out what are the authentic. Next one is to consider the relevance of the document they are including in their review of literature, whether the specific article you are considering for your review of literature is relevant to that research that you are doing, what is the scope of that previous article, whether that previous article is analyzing the primary sources of the research or it is based on some other sources. Those kind of information can give you a viewpoint that how authentic that specific source you are considering. And also if the article you are trying to include in review of literature is based on what is the framework of that analysis that previous person has been done, whether it is the framework is same as per your requirement or it's something else. So you should consider those points to find out the relevance of the research for inclusion in your review of it. Next is the date of publication, basically when it was first written or when it was published. Is there any different version has been come out, or a latest version has been come out with some changes in that document, or if basically if it is published online, what is the date of publication of that document online, whether it was published and after the first publication whether it was revised or something has been changed. Those things has to be considered based on the date of publication or the latest date when it was updated. Next thing is to consider is the documentation of that document, means the specific article, how detailed that is documented, whether the article that is provided, it contains the complete references of different sources they are referring in their article, how trustworthy those sources, or they are citing only their own previous works, or they have considered others works also while they are citing, or what is they are considering only a specific kind of document in their citing pattern. So those things helps to decide whether that specific article is trustworthy or not trustworthy. Other than those primary sources of different research articles, when you are going for considering the sources, those are published in form of a website, like in different government websites or government reports or any other reports. So in those cases you can consider about the sources that you are citing, the specific website where it is published, whether the website is a government website or it's a non-profit organization website, or what kind of website it is. So you can always look for the about us page or contact us page or who we are page, that kind of page, so that you can get aware that who is publishing this information. If some report is created, who has created that report, whether it's the report is by a government organization or it's just someone has bring out anything and you are just referring that it's available publicly. So you can also verify on which domain name those paper you are referring or those document you are referring, they are available in what kind of website, whether they are in commercial website like the domain name extension is .com or .net for networking organization, or it's from a government website which generally contain a extension of .gov, or it's from a academic website like a university or a institute and they generally contain the domain name .edu or .ac. So those kind of evaluations should be done when considering for sources of information taken from different websites and they are not peer reviewed. Once you are having a lot of literature about your literature review, so it's not always it's always good that you should consider keeping you because the research is a continuous process, so you should always keep updated with what are the different literature that are published in different sources, or whatever you have referred, what are the updation or whatever is coming, or new articles in the same area are coming or not. For that you should always keep yourself updated through different web 2.0 tools or different alerting services. So basically what happens in terms of different databases or publisher websites or journal website, they have some alerting services like RSS feeds. One can go to the website and create some search query. You can create your own personal profile, and that publisher's website or the databases website, they give you updates about the latest article published in that specific search query, or the whatever query you have saved or whatever you have referred in your document. So those updates you can get through mails or through RSS feed or any other alerting format. Also one can create the journal table of content alert for a specific journal. That is also, if you are considering a specific journal that is most appropriate for your specific subject area, so you should always create a table of content alerts for that specific subject area. So whatever the new article published in that journal, that you get through an email alert or through RSS feeds. Also one can keep track of different posts through Facebook or blogs or Twitter, and get the updates about that specific subject area, what are the new literature published in that specific subject area. And one can also attend different conferences or keep track of what are the conference presentations that are done in a specific subject area, so that it can help you in your research of that specific research area, and you can later on also you can include additional literature in your literature review. So those are few updates about how to evaluate the sources of information and how to keep updated always, because whatever type of research you are doing, whether it's a short term or long term, basically in terms of long term researches, you should always keep track of different resources that you have received, that you have referred, so that at the time of your final submission of your research project, so you can if there are some changes happening or some new kind of study comes out that may be supporting your research, or that may be contradicting to your research, so those you can include in your literature review. So throughout all those previous sections, we have gone through different how are the different type of literature review, and what are the different sources that are available in what are the different e-resources that are available and that can be used for your research, for your literature review, where to find out what kind of primary sources or secondary sources, that basically depend upon the what type of research you are doing, whether it's a historic research or it's a social science research or it's a medical research. So that varies from user to user, and after you have a number of results from different sources, from different electronic sources, you should always evaluate those resources, so that you can take a decision which are the most appropriate sources and authentic sources, so that it can be included into your literature review. You may be aware that there are different talks going on about predatory journals and all those that are covered in another section, another module of this course. So you should also consider do not consider those kind of research article into your review of literature.